Hello. In this week's Torah portion, Behar, we read the following injunction, quote, "And if your brother becomes impoverished and his means falter in your proximity, you shall strengthen him, proselyte or resident, so that he can live with you." Unquote. The word brother is used here in an extended sense, one of your people who lives close to you. But how did the word brother come to have such a positive connotation? In Western culture, brotherhood is certainly considered the epitome of love. The motto of the French Revolution was liberté, égalité, fraternité, freedom, equality, brotherhood. People speak of the brotherhood of man and the fatherhood of gods. We often hear the line, "He ain't heavy, he's my brother." People sing, "America, America, God crown thy good with brotherhoods, from sea to shining sea." Universities have fraternities. We consider universal brotherhoods to be our ideal. But what does our Jewish tradition specifically say about brotherhoods? Do we also consider it the epitome of love? Let's consult our traditional sources, beginning with the Torah. The first two people born of a woman were Cain and Abel, two brothers. The first killed the second. When God asked Cain where his brother was, he said, quote, "I don't know. Am I my brother's keeper?" Unquote. In other words, why should you assume I should keep track of him just because he's my brother? Not a good beginning for brotherhoods. Abraham's children Ishmael and Isaac were estranged for most of their lives. They came together only to bury their father. Their descendants are still at loggerheads. Isaac's children, the twins Jacob and Esau, fought even while inside their mother's womb and for the rest of their lives. Jacob is revered as the righteous patriarch, the one whose name God changed to Israel and who became the progenitor of the Jews, whereas Esau is reviled as the epitome of evil, the ancestor of Amalek, of Rome, of Haman, and of all anti-Semites, past, present, and future. Jacob's sons ganged up on their brother Joseph and thought of killing him, but then decided to just sell him into slavery in Egypt. Moses and Aaron got along and worked well together, only because Aaron readily acknowledged the supremacy of his younger brother Moses. He was a self-effacing man, known as the consummate Rodef Shalom, the pursuer of peace. The Mishnah says, quote, "Be among the disciples of Aaron, loving peace and pursuing peace, loving people and bringing them near to the Torah." Unquote. Is the lesson here that you have to be completely self-effacing to get along with your brother? And in the rest of the Bible, the picture does not improve much. Fratricide was common in royal houses, so the murderer could avoid having to live with brothers who also claimed the throne. Abimelech, son of Gideon the judge, killed his 70 brothers so that he could rule alone in Shechem. King David's son Avshalom ordered the killing of his brother Amnon. King David's son Solomon, the great and wise Solomon, ordered the killing of his brother Adoniyahu. Jehoram took over the kingdom of Judah from his father and promptly killed his 6 brothers. But you will ask, what about the line from Psalms we sing so often? Hine ma tovu mana'im shevet achim gam yachad. Behold, how good it is and how pleasant when brothers dwell together in unity. Well, the fact that you have to say it means that it is an unusual sight, not an expectation. When brothers are at peace with each other, it is indeed a pleasant sight because it is such a rare one. You don't say, for instance, "Behold how good it is and how pleasant" when mothers cuddle their baby. It's true, of course, but you don't bother to say it. In my own family in Egypt, my father was the eldest of 9 children. His father made the bad decision of retiring and giving everything he had to his firstborn, my father, asking him to be in charge of the family, pay him a pension, marry off his sisters with dowries, and help his brothers complete their education and start businesses. My father was a fair and honest man, but this situation did not endear him to his siblings, who could never get enough from him. They may well have been tempted to sell him into slavery in Egypt, except that he was already into slavery in Egypt. But I don't want to give you a false impression. Family is family. When I was forced out of Egypt in 1967, I went to Belgium for 4 months and stayed until I got my refugee visa to come to the United States. 3 of my father's siblings lived there. They welcomed me and took care of me. But you will also ask, what about the story of the 2 brothers who loved each other so much that the Holy Temple was built on the site of their tearful reunion? Let me remind you of it. In ancient Israel, 2 brothers shared a field. One was a bachelor living at one end, and the other a married man with many children living at the other end. After the harvest, the bachelor was worried that his brother did not have enough to feed his family, and the married man was worried his brother would not have enough saved for his old age. So at night, each carried some of his own produce to the other's storehouse. After many days of unwilling exchanges, the 2 bumped into each other in the dark, understood why their stocks never decreased, and wept in each other's arms. And tradition tells us that it's on this very spot that the Holy Temple was built. This is the stuff of thousands of Jewish sermons, stories, and children's books. Under the title, you usually see a vague reference, such as inspired from the Talmud, or based on the Midrash, or some other euphemism for I have no idea where this is coming from. Indeed, it is nowhere to be found in the massive sources of Jewish tradition. This has long bothered me, so I did some research and found that it bothered many others also, including eminent rabbis and scholars. This is what was established. The first known reference to this story is an 1835 book by Alphonse de Lamartine, a top Gentile French writer and one of my favorites. He says he got the story from Arabs while visiting the Holy Land. The book was a hit, and after that the story was picked up by many authors in many languages, including Jews, and that's how it came to us. But we don't know any Arabs today who have this so-called tradition. So one is entitled to wonder, did Lamartine make it up? More likely, was it made up just for him in exchange for a handout? In the real Jewish tradition, the Bible tells us that the site where the temple was built was Mount Moriah, where God told Abraham to bind his son Isaac. Nothing about loving brothers. In Israel, they have their own version of this story. The 2 brothers were stealing from each other. Then one night, they bumped into each other and understood why their stocks never increased. They slugged it out all night until dawn, and tradition tells us that it's on this very spot that the Israeli Knesset was built. Now, this version is certainly less inspiring, but perhaps more realistic. The worst quarrels are fratricidals. Fratricidal. Brothers are frequently jealous of each other, try to outdo each other, and feel that their parents favor the other son. You don't choose your brothers, so why should you be automatically expected to get along with them? You do, however, choose your friends. So why isn't true friendship, rather than brotherhood, the epitome of love? In 1965, Tom Lehrer, the American Jewish lyricist, wrote a song called National Brotherhood Week, in which he makes fun of the hypocritical use of the word brotherhood. Quote, "Oh, the white folks hate the black folks, and the black folks hate the white folks. Oh, the poor folks hate the rich folks, and the rich folks hate the poor folks. Oh, the Protestants hate the Catholics, and the Catholics hate the Protestants, and the Hindus hate the Muslims, and everybody hates the Jews. But during National Brotherhood Week, be nice to people who are inferior to you. It's only for a week, so have no fear. Be grateful it doesn't last all year." Unquote. Now let's back up a minute. To be fair, the word brotherhood is not totally devoid of positive meaning in Judaism. The book of Proverbs says, "The Lord hates those who sow discord among brothers." The Talmud says, After the Amidah, Rabbi Elazar used to say, "May it be your will, O Lord our God, to cause love and brotherhood and peace and friendship to dwell in our lots." Unquote. So he put brotherhoods on the same level as love, peace, and friendship. A standard prayer begins with Ahenu kol bet Israel, our brothers, the whole house of Israel. The last of the 7 blessings at the wedding begins with Blessed are you, O Lord our God, King of the universe, who created joy and happiness, groom and bride, gladness, jubilation, cheer and delight, love and brotherhoods, peace and fellowship. Love and brotherhoods, ahava ve'ahava. Note the similarity in the words. Ahava with a he is love, ahava with a het is brotherhoods. The spelling itself suggests that they are very close. Of course, if you look at the various translations of the word ahava in Orthodox circles, more than half the time it is not translated as brotherhood, but friendship or fellowship or companionship, at least in this context. So brotherhood in Hebrew is a wide concept that goes beyond its literal meaning and extends to good friends, just as it does in English. But nevertheless, it does suggest that the feeling between 2 real brothers is the epitome of love. A popular name for congregations is Agudat Ahim, or Agudas Achim in Ashkenazic, meaning a congregation of brothers. Time to conclude. Brotherhood is a bond in blood. As such, it cannot be broken, no matter what, and that's what makes it valuable. Friendships can be broken, but not family ties. Fellowship can be ephemeral, but not family ties. Brothers grow up together. They share memories that last their entire lives. Eventually, in most cases, these bonds do prove strongest and deepest. The examples I gave earlier are the exception rather than the rule. And by exalting the concept of brotherhood, our culture encourages real brothers to feel more tolerant toward each other than they would otherwise be. Here's to brotherhoods. Shabbat Shalom.